I'm invincible. I'm paying money. The girl's happy. She's got no money. I got my rocks off. Oh, how good is this?
You're Bound for Glory on Sin. I'm Jordan.
I'm Joe.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ashley.
And I'm Peter.
Massive game last night involving the Geelong Football Club and the West Coast Football Club. It came down to the wire, but I think really the highlight was the terrible umpiring, just to get it straight off the bat.
Or the over-umpiring.
Oh, it was terrible. No, it wasn't even, it's not just over. There was 64 free kicks, by the way. 64 free kicks, so that equates to what? 1 every 2 minutes of game time. And the deliberate free kicks that were paid were just still, just coming off straight out and just to start the show on this. But it was terrible. Like, it was embarrassing.
Have we ever seen this before, though? Is this the
Probably.
first time they've just gone nuts on deliberate?
Oh, no, they started to do it last week. They started it, but it was just on a whole new level. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible watching it, but...
Should mention that West Coast ended up winning by 5 points, by the way.
Not that you would have known from the fans after the siren.
No, they were booing over the team song. They were booing. I think that's probably the worst thing about it, is they started booing the umpires over the team song, and they just won by 5 points. It doesn't matter how you got it done, you still won.
Yeah, like, it's not a great sign, and I know we have a few comments regarding Chris Scott's press conference as well, regarding the fans.
Who caught that last night, the Chris Scott press conference after the game? Nobody?
Yeah,
all right, well,
listen
fine,
to it
then.
after, but yeah.
But no, we're going to listen to it.
No, I said I listened to it.
Oh, I was going to say, we're moving up in the world, all technological. But no, there was a quote regarding the crowd and how it's not a kid-friendly environment, but most football crowds aren't like that. And he even said that most crowds aren't like that, but, quote, this is the worst.
At least West Coast didn't get all the free kicks.
Yeah, but there was still, you don't want to see 32 free kicks for each team.
You would have thought by the crowd that Geelong got all the free kicks. You thought it would have been 64-0.
No, you can't give away an obvious free kick and have the crowd angry at you at West Coast. But they're ridiculous. It happens everywhere. Obviously, it's not just the Perth fans that whinges. But I got a fact here. Also, we should mention that we have Fact War going on today. Ash Craven versus Matt Marsden. Fact War. West Coast actually, before the round, led the competition with free kicks. Adelaide, who are, again, another team from another state with their own home crowd, they have the least amount. So it's not just, teams that have their own states. That makes sense.
Interstate team.
It's not quite up there with Heather Woodell.
When did they purchase the state?
But no, it's over-umpired crap. We don't want to see that sort of thing. It was a close game, too. It ended up being a really good contest, but yet the highlight, or low light, is the umpiring.
And I guess you would say that, the free kicks, even though there are a lot, there's it's not even double the record, is it, Matt?
Oh, it's another fact. Here we go. The record for the most free kicks is Footscray versus Melbourne, 1977, 134. So what's that equate to? Is that... What's half? Oh, yeah, no, not doing maths. But it's a lot. We know that, it's a lot. How would that happen? 130? We had 60, it's double.
67.
60, oh, thank you. So that's, it was double last night. I can't imagine that. That'd be 1 per minute.
Yeah, that's pretty shocking, really.
Fair to say, the AFL must have said something to the umpires pre-round.
Oh, it's obvious that they've said it. And that's people have got to remember, it's not the umpire's fault. They're the messengers.
Yeah, they probably said don't get too close to the front row, they bite.
Don't touch him! He's infected!
But overall, it was, apart from the umpiring, it was a nice close game. Two teams that, are really competitive. They were fighting for 5th and 6th, so... We
should also mention the Tom Hawkins incident where he went up for the marking contest. It was obvious, there was no funny business, it was just an obvious accident, but... you don't want to see that sort of thing where there's a player on the ground and they they don't want to move because they don't like it. They're either unconscious or they're in pain.
Well, he's been one of their best players this year, particularly in terms of scoring. His improvements
you could tell
are
as
brilliant.
soon as he went off the field, you could tell that he wasn't there.
Yeah, like
This is big, and it's weird because this time last year everyone thought, no Hawkins, no worry sort of thing. But now he's I mentioned it with Ethan Meldrum, another one of our panelists last night, that as far as structure goes, he's probably Geelong's most important player.
Yeah.
Pods stood up though.
He
Three
did,
goals.
but he can't really take those. I mean, Hawkins, you put him in the middle of a pack, he'll put his arms up and take it. Pods Yardley won't really do that.
Yeah, Pods isn't the kind that'll break games open. He's the kind that'll kick his, couple of goals, few goals, maybe a bag down at skilled.
He's a very good second banana.
Yeah. But he's never going to be one that you're going to go into a game going, oh no, he's going to do a fair bit of damage there.
Fair to say, without Hawkins, Geelong played really well.
Yeah.
Oh, they did play very well,
no.
but you could see there was a lot of aimless kicks forward. Interesting, again, back on free kicks, Dean Cox leads the free kick count with 50 free kicks. Just pointing that out. And it's a ruckman as well. You wouldn't expect a ruckman to be leading it.
He killed it last night.
He did kill it.
Some of the marks he took in critical situations were...
Also, there were only 2 players on the field that weren't involved in a free kick, so they didn't receive one or give one last night.
That's correct.
That's great. And those 2 players, by the way, Stephen Motlop and Jackson Sheringham.
Yeah.
I think I'm winning Factor so far.
Is that 5?
Yeah. I think, yeah. We need a counter of some sort. Destroying Factor.
Yeah. But overall, this would rule out. I know it was probably already ruled out, but Geelong's top 4 chances.
Yeah,
now,
you think so. And it's unfortunate because Geelong led at every change except for the final. The final sign.
But I think we'll have to agree that you don't want to play Geelong in the finals.
You would not want to be one of the losing top 4 teams and meet Geelong in that second week. Because
If they somehow finish 6th, 7th or 8th, somehow, the teams that finish 5th and 6th are in a fair bit of trouble.
Well, wherever Geelong play, you reckon they're going to get at least a win in the finals?
I wouldn't be, honestly, I still wouldn't rule them out. I mean, most of us said they won't win a premiership this year, and that's the most likely thing, but you still can't rule them out.
Yeah, I think they're still in the hunt. They're not the dominant team they were last year, obviously, so they're not going to, it's not like, they're going to win this easily, but they're up there and they're competitive.
What about West Coast? We saw them be belted by Freo last week, and they only just scraped over the top against the team without their best key forward for the best part of 3 quarters.
And they were missing Chapman and a few others.
Yeah, they missed a number of,
they were missing about
and they
5
just
or
scraped
6.
over the line. I mean, obviously West Coast are missing players, but they've been missing players all year.
Yeah, I think injuries are starting to catch up with them. So, when you miss, arguably your 2 best forwards, best key forward and best small forward in Kennedy and Lacroix, you're in trouble. And, of course, Nikoski and even Embley missed a lot at the start, so...
We saw Cox and Natanui, I think they kicked, was it 5 or 6 goals between them? 5 goals between them last night. Is there room for that many forwards? I mean, they've got Hill, Darling, Cox goes forward, Natanui goes forward, you got Lynch, and then you got Lacroix and Kennedy on the way back. Is there enough room for those other guys to come back without forcing somebody out?
Well, that's the interesting thing. You wonder whether one of them will be on the trade block. Obviously, Quinton Lynch, because he's out of Darling, Kennedy, and Lynch. You know which one, if one had to go, which one it would be. So,
I think Hill has to go as well. He won't stand up in the final.
To go? He's been
pretty good.
He's been very good.
He doesn't stand up.
Small forward.
He played in the Bulldogs prelims, and then he played in their finals.
It's a good point, but his comparison of this year is nothing to what he's done in previous years with the Bulldogs. He's working for his own football, and he was told to move up the field last night, and he did well up the field with what he could do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very difficult challenge playing against the fast, small guys of Geelong.
Yeah, but can you fit them all into that?
Oh, you can't fit them all, no way, but...
Then who has to go?
I guess that's a structural issue, I guess. It would be... You wouldn't want to come up against West Coast if they have the likes of Kennedy, Lacroix, Cox and Darling, when all in the same team.
Yeah, they're obviously... It's going to be interesting next season when they do have a full side, whether that'll, I guess, help, or whether it'll be too many, I guess, eggs in one basket.
Nice little stat there from Josh Hill. 100% disposal efficiency last night.
I'm wrong.
He only had 9 touches, but, 9 effective disposals
Small
is better
forwards usually don't have that many anyway,
No.
so it's one of the hardest
So,
decisions.
West Coast, had they lost, we probably could have said they might not make top 4. But even if they finish top 4, you can't really look at them and say, hey, you're a genuine contender. You just don't. They just don't look like
They'll
it.
lose to Sydney or Adelaide because they'll play them away. They'll lose to them. And
They play Collingwood soon, don't they?
yeah, over at Subi. God knows how that's going to go. So.
We've pretty much sewn up the top 2 spots. I guess it's just a matter of filling out the rest of it.
Yeah.
So we had this discussion last week. So does that mean we could somewhat... Who's going to take that last top 4 spot? Collingwood or West Coast?
Well, it depends. Hawthorn also plays Sydney and West Coast as well, don't they? So, in theory, if Hawthorn was to have, unlikely, obviously, but they could lose to Sydney, and if they lost to West Coast, then they could drop out. So...
we say it every year, but the ladder's incredibly intriguing this year. I mean, we've still got 4. Most teams still have 4 more games to go, and there's teams that could make finals. I mean, there's 2 teams that are 2 games out of the top 8.
And I would say
they could still make it.
In theory, there should be about 6 teams that could win the premiership. Although West Coast is dropping pretty fast, and. Yeah, Collingwood and Adelaide have lost a bit of form, so...
This season reminds me of 98, where a team outside the 8 could win the flag.
Well, that's possible.
Because Adelaide travelled 5 weeks in a row and still won it.
That team could...
What about the bottom 4 teams of the top 8? Are they actual... I mean, we've got Geelong that probably won't finish top 4. Are they actual... Have we actually got one of those years where they might?
Only Geelong and West Coast, and on form, only Geelong, I think.
I reckon North can probably maybe knock out one of the contenders earlier on. I've got a feeling about that. Well, no, not a premiership.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
But I got a feeling they're going to take out someone like Adelaide. Text us in. Oh, sorry, Matt. Text us in on 0427 767 767 on your thoughts on last night's games and the upcoming finals.
So, just before we shoot off to one, I think we've got to get to this week's top 11. We got the big Sydney-Collingwood game coming up tonight, and we'll preview that later. But I think 2005 was the last time that Sydney beat Collingwood, and that's incredible stats. So, a lot has changed in 7 years. We can imagine a lot has changed. So this week's top 11 things that were good the last time Sydney beat Collingwood. 11, Big Brother. People actually cared about it. I don't give a crap who's going into the Big Brother house. Get your promos out of my face while I'm watching the Olympics. Number 10, Ashley Samby's waistline. That's a cheap shot, but have you seen him? God, he looks like a cannonball. Number 9, the Australian cricket team. Nice competitiveness, Australia. Number 8, West Coast's reputation. Boom. Number 7, AFL commentary. Not that it's ever been great. Number 6, Cameron Bruce's career. Downhill. Can just see the skiing. Number 5, Richard Tambling. Bam. Number 4, tanking was still cool. Number 3, Melbourne's premiership tilt. They actually said they were going to have a genuine crack at it. That's sad. Have they finished higher than 12th or something? No, they probably haven't. I haven't done any research, but I don't care. Number 2, Richmond's 5-year plan. How'd that go, Terry? Boom. Number 1, drum roll, please. Supporting Port Adelaide was still cool.
And with that, I think we'll shoot off to some SYN messages.
Another bizarrely random moment brought to you by Brain Juice.
First person in will get it. Ready?
The Choir of Hell. This is what they play to people in Guantanamo Bay with, strobe lights on repeat. We will break you!
If you want to hear about more experimental Guantanamo Bay interrogation techniques, listen to Brain Juice, SYN's only quiz show, Saturdays from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your juices flowing.
Attention sinners, this is your captain speaking. Welcome to Flight India Electro Night. We have a smooth ride ahead of us with very little turbulence, so just sit back and relax. Here's a quick word from your flight attendant.
Instead of being a passenger, you should be a part of our crew. If you would like to host your own show on Indie Electro Night, just follow these simple instructions. Access the SYN website at syn.org.au/get involved for more information. Thank you for flying SYN Airlines. Enjoy your flight.
Back on Bound for Glory on SYN. We've got a pretty big issue unfolding this week over in Port Adelaide. Obviously, after the loss to GWS last week, Matthew Primus was offered to coach out the rest of the season, but there was no position available for him at the helm next year. So he's decided to just leave, and Gary Hocking is going to be the caretaker coach for the rest of the year.
Whiskers?
Yeah, he's denied that Port's in a crisis. Hocking has, but he has stated there's been no goals in terms of wins or losses for the rest of the season, but rather performance benchmarks for each game. As it's often the case following the sacking of the coach, players try their guts out to avoid becoming trade bait or getting cut from the list. So I personally feel that Port maybe will win at least one of their last 4 games. I don't know who they've got, but I got a feeling they're going to have a real crack. Woods is he's a crazy guy. I got a feeling he's going to play maybe 10 or 15 players who really deserve their spot and just cut all the dead weight. Their next month ahead, I've got that. Hawks at Aurora, West Coast at Amy, Brisbane at Amy, and the Tigers at the MCG. So I think maybe the Brisbane games, that's probably winnable.
Yeah.
The rest of the games besides the Brisbane ones, I think they should really just trial their youngsters because, players like Westhoff, Thomas, Logan, just get rid of them. They're not good.
No, that's fair.
I mean, if you're a rebuilding side, you got to give the games to people who deserve them, not just C graders.
To be fair, Westhoff has been kicking a few goals lately.
Yeah, look, Westhoff's actually he's not bad, but Logan and Thomas,
yes, he is.
They're slow. They're not quick enough for the modern game. Obviously, the players got to be. That's got to be looked at. At the end of the season, the list's got to be looked at. But also, the coaching department, now that Primus is gone, I'm not really sold on Sean Wren or Buddha Hocking. Malthouse has ruled himself out, whilst our best friend Terry Wallace has thrown his hat into the ring.
Oh dear, the list manager. List manager!
So if he comes on, I feel that Port is going to go downhill even more. So
possible?
I don't even know if it is. So I think Port should really be trying to get Rocket Eade or even Paul Roos, but if not, maybe someone like Scott Burns or Kenny.
The funniest thing, when I thought it couldn't get any funnier, after Wallace threw in his ring, I thought threw in his hat in the ring. The only thing that could be worse was when basically Adelaide. Thanks for that. Adelaide, Brenton Sanderson. Suggested that Dean Bailey could coach them, and I thought well done, you found the only worst coach left.
Who's worst? Terry Wallace or Dean Bailey?
Dean Bailey. Dean Bailey, because at least Wallace, got
serious
preliminary.
On topic question. What have Port changed from changing coaches?
Zilch.
What's new? They're in the same situation 12 as they were 12 months ago, pretty much, and they've sacked the coach, and they've got a glorified assistant coach in Gary Hocking coaching the team, saying, "Oh, we're gonna set goals for every game." And isn't that what they were doing already? What's different?
Dean Laidley's not Skyping.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty bad. I think he got a pretty rough deal there, Primus.
He
shouldn't have been.
I'm not even going to get started.
Because let's face it,
they screwed up bad.
Yeah, he was just a scapegoat. I think he's just someone that had to go.
He didn't have to go. That's the thing. He was made an example of.
I think it didn't help that Chris Scott actually won a premiership over at Geelong because he was the other one he was competing with Primus, and you can't compare the list, but who knows how Port were thinking. It was between Scott and Primus, and then they elected to go Primus.
So you can't draw a comparison. If you look at Geelong's list in comparison to Port Adelaide, I mean, there's a realistic chances that Scott would have been facing be in the same situation.
Yeah, exactly, but that's what Port thinks like.
Somehow Mark Williams' name has been brought up.
Oh,
surely not.
That was
surely not.
He knew the ship was sinking, and he said, "No, I'm taking this life raft." Just
he chose the right team, judging on last week, and that's pretty sad.
He would have been giggling to himself, I swear.
And I did on GWS quickly. They interviewed Giles after the game. Giles.
Jonathan Giles.
They interviewed him after the game. Well, Sheedy said, "Oh, who pushed you out at Port?" And he said, "Dean Brogan." And he goes, "Who was the coach?" And Choco. And of course, they're both at GWS. So
there you go.
Taken all Port's ruck stocks.
Do they had ruck?
Good old Lobies over there.
If you agree with Jordan's claim to get rid of Westhoff, Thomas and Logan, who's left? Isn't Chaplin going to
Not
Richmond?
much is
and
left.
both-
This is why we have the end of the season and we have a draft. You can trade, you can pick up kids, and that's what they need to do.
There is a big rumour going Chaplin to Freo now, actually, because they reckon they've ruled out Cloak.
I think
and they're
Fremantle
moving McFarlane forward.
Fremantle are
bringing
anti-Sydney.
Mm.
Sydney get in useless people and make them good. Fremantle get useless people and make them more useless. I can't think of one good player that went to Fremantle and got better.
Chris Tarrant.
McFarlane. Okay, Tarrant. I reckon. I don't think so.
Versatile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 year in defence.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's.
In fairness, Troy Chaplin's not that bad. Like,
Yeah, he's not.
He's definitely an upgrade on Dawson. Definitely a better player than Dawson.
But Dawson will still play. He'll be up there with Dawson.
Very high.
So it'll be him and Dawson.
But if you're a star, you wouldn't want to go to Port Adelaide. Even if you're a young kid, you wouldn't go to Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
No. I mean, at least when Gary Ablett went to Gold Coast, he saw it's a new team. They have some sort of future in a few years, maybe. But Port, they just don't look like they're going anywhere.
You wouldn't want to go to South Australia, like, really, for being South Australia. So, like, at least Adelaide are on a bit of a roll.
Haven't we slept yet?
What needs to happen is really, like, Port just needs to have something really enticing. Like, obviously, with Essendon, they got pretty expensive coaching panel in Bomber and, obviously, Goodwin and Hurd and stuff. So, you just got to get some big names over a Port, then the other people will just start coming.
And actually, I was going to say, speaking of South Australia and Essendon, it was quite interesting Bomber Thompson's interview last week at half-time. He was genuinely shocked that they were in front, for anyone who hasn't seen it. So he was basically like, oh, well, you know, I bet a lot of people at home weren't expecting this, and I can't believe how well they've played. And he was genuinely shocked that they were in front.
Everyone was.
Yeah, well.
Just throwing this from left field, could Fev go to Port?
No.
Actually, no, now that you've said it's when you consider it, you think, well, they're desperate.
Yeah, but
they take anybody, I mean...
Yeah, but if you're rebuilding a team, why would you pay a high amount of money?
Then again, he's going to get sacked.
Gary Hall for a year. And, you know,
and the crowds are...
Well, Primus was rebuilding the team, and we love how they treated him, so maybe they should just shove in a bunch of old blokes and turn into a retirement home.
Fit down over there in Adelaide.
Crazy Bossy needs to get down there.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Alright, text us in on your thoughts on what Port Adelaide should do on 0427 767 767. I think we should probably head off to some SYN messages.
Konnichiwa. For all things Asia, listen to Egyo Egyo on SYN 90.7 FM, 5 to 6 Saturdays, syn.org.au, GMT plus 10. Egyo Egyo on SYN.
Do you want drama? Do you want intrigue? Do you want conversations about the scariest part of a pony? Or if it's creepy to wink at people? Then you want the Prop Shows. Every week, Ben and Vicky will be proposing, well, just about anything. Maybe it's a way to save the world. Maybe it's marriage. Or perhaps even just a simple toast. But whatever it is, you can be sure you do not want to miss it. Listen to it live on SYN, Saturday mornings at 11, or at propshowsal.com.
Roots, rock, reggae, and more on Around the World in 80 Songs. Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10, only on SYN.
Who wants to play video games?
Radio Respawn. Saturdays 1 to 2 p.m.
Getting insight from developers.
Academy Award-winning Ben Britton, Tin Man Games.
I'm Sam from Raptors Games.
The media.
Gaetano Pretia, editor at mmgm.com.
Richard Blanket from the Puppet and Geek. Also giving gamers the opportunity
To discuss the latest and greatest in the gaming world. Join Josh.
Saturdays 1 to 2 p.m.
for Radio Respawn.
SYN's community for gamers.
By games.
Keep up with the latest in sport, plus the latest from London, with SYN's new limited edition sports show, The Daily Gauntlet. Starts Monday, July 30 and continues weekdays at 4:30 p.m. straight after Panorama, right here on SYN. And for a weekly wrap of all things sport, listen to The Gauntlet, Sundays from 10 a.m. here on SYN.
You're back on Bound for Glory on SYN. Ash, I believe you're going to be talking about Tom Liberatore.
Yeah, I am. So this week was shaping up to be a relatively big week in footy, especially considering the party side of things last weekend. Don't know if there was a party going on that we didn't know about, but last Sunday Tom Liberatore was found outside a nightclub by police at 3:30 a.m. and he was intoxicated and in possession of an ecstasy tablet. So he seemed to be alcohol affected, but he wasn't drug tested. It happened after a poker night at Crown, a football poker night. So in response to that, Western Bulldogs were not too pleased. So obviously, he's been given a 4-match suspension. He's not allowed to train with the club for the rest of the season. He's made to work in a challenging job, so 40-hour weeks for the next.
Is that winning
6
football
weeks.
matches or?
Harsh call.
I'm pretty pleased to be away from that place.
So yeah, he's pretty much been given a bit of a wake-up call to remind him about what a privilege it is to play AFL. He also gets a $5,000 fine and he gets a strike with the AFL illicit drugs policy. And with that policy, he also gets some counselling and support, probably a bit of rehab, that sort of thing. So the reason, because I found it quite interesting that he actually got named as being in possession of drugs, because usually the drugs sort of thing is really anonymous, but the reason that happened was because he was found by police. If he was found by the AFL drug testing, we wouldn't know about it. We know that someone had gotten a strike when the illicit drugs report comes out, but we wouldn't know that it was Tom Liberatore who had got the strike. Yeah, so it's gonna be a struggle without the Bulldogs. Going to struggle without him. Sorry.
Going to struggle anyway.
Well, they're going to have more of a struggle because he's been averaging about mid to high 20 disposals all season. So
I think the average is 24 disposals per game off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Back to war. Last week alone, he was up with the top 5 players for the Bulldogs. He had 24 disposals. So yeah, he's definitely going to be missed on the field. But like he said, is it really going to make that much of a difference with the Bulldogs season so far? Probably not.
Finals.
So I know for me the news was a bit of a shock because he seems to be a really smart guy. He knows what he's doing. Seems pretty level-headed. Here's a fact for you. He got 94 on his ATAR score at school, and he's studying arts at Melbourne Uni.
Catching up.
I'm catching up. I'm getting there slowly. Yeah. So another thing that I thought I'd look into was the AFL illicit drugs policy. So last month, the annual report came out. And it seems that the program is working because the number of failed tests is reducing every year. So there was 6 failed tests last year for drugs, and none of them were second or third incident. In 2005, when the policy was introduced, there was 19 failed tests, and 3 were second or third incident. So you can see that there's a dramatic drop from when the policy got introduced. The drug policy is unique because players can be drug tested during the off-season for illicit drugs, not just performance-enhancing drugs, and that's what a lot of sports do. They just test for that performance-enhancing elements during the playing season. So in theory, it's a fantastic program, initiative, but I don't think it's really effective with the 3 strikes sort of incident.
Yeah, I actually wrote an article about this. It's going to be put up on BalfourGloriaNews.com, by the way. Read it later. So I probably really shouldn't mention much because it'll kind of spoil it. But what they do to test the drugs is great. Then they're obviously doing a magnificent job with that because they're detecting that there's an issue and that sort of thing. But I have a big problem with what they do with the people that are detected and how they go about it. Because what have they done with Liberatore? They've said, okay, you've been found in possession. Don't come to the club. Go get a job. Go get help. No. You're in a club environment. You've got your friends around you. You go to work and you've got your mates and your teammates around you. That's where he needs to be. He doesn't need to be there. Obviously, you can say, all right, you can't play, you can't train. But why can't the Bulldogs give him a job? Why can't they keep him within the club and say, okay, do some mail, I don't know what they do, and sort some mail or something. But, stamp some letters, do whatever. But just give him a job. Keep him within the environment. Don't distance him. Help him because he's got his mates around him. It's not going to get any better if you say, go away, get help. If he's around his mates and that sort of thing, he's got support, and that's what he needs.
When this incident happened, where were his mates, though? It was a footy function, footy poker.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, the Bulldogs are having poker nights.
That's what made me
Like,
think as well.
I mean, everyone else is so strict. You're not allowed. You know, you got a curfew. You don't have this. And then, you know, Bulldogs, middle of the season. Oh, let's have a poker night. You know,
We might win.
what is
Post-loss celebrations, yes!
Oh, like, what is going on down there? Who
Yes.
even knows?
Yeah, so personally, like, I don't think the system is working because I think, you know, one strike is enough to say you get a warning, and then if you commit it again, your playing future gets seriously considered, and, you know, see
What's
what's
that
going
mean?
on.
Your playing future gets seriously considered.
Well, you can't say, okay, you do it once and the next time you're out, because what if a case is more severe than another one?
Yeah.
Like this case, was he? It's not confirmed if he was actually taking the drugs. He was in possession of the drugs. It's not confirmed if he was taking
I'm sure
them.
if he's in possession, he's probably... You'd put two and two together.
Well, you can't assume.
Holding for a mate.
Holding out.
But obviously, like, some instances are more serious than others, so you have to really consider. So you can't just be like, oh, 2 strikes and you're out. Or the 3 strikes obviously isn't working, but...
Yeah, I think they really need to look at the system and figure out how they can sort out what happens after they detect something. You're laughing at something on the text line over here, aren't you? What are we reading out? Oh, I don't even... Read it out, Pete. Read it out. What are they?
I can't even see.
All right. Well, we've been texting basically just saying, why can't they do drugs?
Not a worry. No problems.
Because it's wrong, that's why.
Why not?
Obviously, one of the similar cases this week was obviously Dane Swan. No drugs found on him, but caught it the night, had a big night on the piss, only the 2 weeks. So,
just a casual night, a classy night out, sinking piss.
Yeah. Wasn't with drugs or anything, but should there be a little bit more consistency? I know both were. I think the Bulldogs one was a club imposed suspension as well. Should there be a little bit more consistency across clubs?
If going out and getting drunk is a bit different to being in possession of drugs, I think.
Yeah, but Swan claims he wasn't even drunk.
That's right. He said he wasn't even.
Apparently he smelled like alcohol, but he wasn't drunk.
Yeah, and his friend vouched that he was just drinking water the whole night. But I think then...
if his friend said it, then just throw out the pan.
It was arguably, I think, it came to the conclusion that it was before and after the club, not at the club. That's why when the friend said he was drinking water at the club, he wasn't technically lying. And when Swan said I was drinking water at the club, he wasn't technically lying.
Smooth.
Yeah. So, anyway.
He's a cheeky guy, Swanee. I don't want
He's
him.
very cheeky. He'd be a good lad. He would be a very interesting person to be around.
Come on the show, Swanee.
Please. It's the 1 in a million chance you'll listen to this.
Is Swanee the type of guy, he can get on the piss, like Jordan said, but then kill it the next week?
Oh, God, yeah. He's 10 years too early. If he was 10 or 20 years ago, he would be a champion. I mean, Stephen Kernahan, come on. Anybody? Oh, man.
Alright, before this turns into a farce, we'd better go to some sin messages.
Before it turns into a farce.
Brain juice tip number 4. Never trust your host. Alright, here we go. This is question number 6. Gonna fill in the blank here. An apple a day
Keeps the doctor away.
Ah, no, it doesn't. That's stupid. You have to go to check us. I'm not going to allow that one. Ah, that was a trick question. Brain juice. Saturdays from 3 to 4. Beware the evil quizmaster. Warning. Brain juice may cause spontaneous singing.
Positively can do all the things that make us
Laugh and cry. Colin tossed salads and scrambled eggs. What a wonderful kind of day.
You're on Sin.
Wow, that was well done. We should sample that and use that more often.
Yeah, I know. That's just going to be the promo for this show. Brain juice. Saturdays from 3 to 4. The future. A mysterious place full of robots and aliens. When will we get there? And what's going to be there when we arrive? Listen to Futurology, 11 o'clock every Sunday night to find out. A show full of everything the future has to offer. Just be sure to tune in before the zombie apocalypse hits us. Oh, snap.
Bound for glory on Sin. Text us in on 0427 767 767. Matty, what do you got for us?
Oh, media is giving me the shits, I tell you. I can't pick up a newspaper and want to put a nail gun to my forehead. Did anybody see this last week? Now that Dane Swan has been suspended, that now Collingwood aren't going to win a premiership. He's been suspended for 2 weeks. He's going to be back for finals. He's going to be back for the last 2 rounds of the season. But they're not going to make it. They're done for the year. Did anybody see that?
That was, who was that by again?
I don't know. I don't care.
Our good mate, Robbo.
Oh, of course it was. Mr. Reactive Media. That's a new level of stupidity. I mean, to say that a club that's in relatively good position for a top 4 spot is now not in contention because they've lost their best player for 2 weeks, and he's going to be back for finals. He's going to be back well and truly before finals.
Yeah, well, apparently he's going to play possibly VFL in the second week, which...
Oh, God.
All manner of disposal records could be broken there.
He'll have more disposals than the opposition will have points. He'll probably... add up all the possessions and he'll have more. He'll just add up all the disposals ever, and he will have more.
He'll probably only play 3 quarters and still rack off about 60 possessions, 70 possessions, and 5 goals.
It's ridiculous.
Do you remember that game he had something like 50 touches, and Malthouse said he wasn't in the best players?
Yeah, it was 48. But yeah, against Port.
You're going to have a lot of touches and turn them over. Also, who here has been watching the Olympics? Anybody? Anybody?
A little bit.
Is anybody
Channel 9's coverage
enjoying the overuse of the people's personality? And we have Ray Hadley who does the NRL, and he was doing the swimming. Every single chance he had, he mentioned NRL. I mean, it was like, okay, this guy also he supports the Dragons. I don't give a crap. He's going for a gold medal. I don't care about the goddamn NRL anyway. Eddie Maguire doing the road race. The road racing? Dear God, that was terrible. Mentioning Collingwood every chance you could get.
Did you see the 4 rowers, or kayakers, or whatever they are, canoeists? Whatever they're in. The dudes who won the thing, they're all 4 of them.
The dudes that won the thing, all 4 of them.
Yep.
The canoe guys.
Yep.
The paddle guys.
The commentary there, I think it was JB and someone else, and they're like, come on, Aussie, come on, let's go, come on, Aussie, go. It's like, wow. Who's coming second? Who's coming third? No one knows. A
little bit closer to home, Dermot Brereton. Whenever he makes any comment on the football, it's about him, and that's not what football's meant to be. It's not meant to be about the writers, or about the personality.
You forgot the most important one, Dwayne Russell.
Dwayne, our friend Dwayne.
The horse goes down. Crazy stuff.
Drills it, rolls it, goes it. Also, so. That moves me on to my next point as well. And there's also them being like, they take their personality and they say, oh, yes, it's me, but this is my article, sort of thing. Caroline Wilson, we haven't heard from her. I mean, how are North Melbourne going? Anybody? I mean, what was it, about 6, 7, 8 weeks ago that North Melbourne were in trouble? I haven't seen many Caro articles referring to North Melbourne recently. Did she tip this week? Come on, Hess, what happened?
She tipped North Melbourne by a huge margin. Is she trolling?
Oh, she must be. She's come out of her little shell. She went into her little teepee. Now she's come out into all of a sudden a North supporter.
She's probably had like an article written for the past 9 weeks, waiting to press send, and every time they win, they're like, "Damn it, I'm going to have to file it away for another week."
As soon as they lose, if they lose by 10 goals, Caro article Monday. You watch. If they lose on Sunday, she's gonna run out of her house with an Essendon flag waving, Gold Coast flag in the other hand, be like, hey, should have moved.
Front page will be Brayshaw sacked.
Sacked Brayshaw. Even when they were winning, she still had a cop at Brayshaw. If it's not North, that's Brayshaw. It's crazy. This inconsistency and they're not willing to fess up to their mistakes, journos. I mean, as I said, if North Melbourne come out and have a bad loss, she's going to be the first one to say it. But she hasn't praised North Melbourne. I mean, they were in a pretty dire situation earlier in the season, and they've completely turned around, and they deserve credit. But yet, she's still not willing to give it to them.
She praised North once. Footy Classified, at the start of the show, she said, North played well against Richmond, let's move on.
Oh, against Richmond. That's like a times 4 compliment when they do it against Richmond. Because Richmond are the benchmark of quality, according to Caro.
Well, it depends which way you look at it. If it's tanking, then maybe. Although, no, wait, that's Melbourne.
She's taking on her tips.
Surely not.
Maybe she's trying to finish ninth. Who knows what's going on with her? But if you have any thoughts, make sure you text us in on 0427 767 767.
Am I the only one who's missing the arrow? We haven't had the arrow.
We haven't had the arrow. Yeah. I've got arrow withdrawal.
I reckon it's a good chance it's going to be James Brayshaw's commentary on the rowing.
Yeah, that would be. I think
James,
like
stick to football.
James. No, I can't do that. That's me.
We do have one text in while we're at it. Slater at the diving was just bad.
Oh, Michael Slater.
Yeah.
Isn't Slater just bad at everything?
Yeah, he's not good. He's not good.
Hang on, isn't he the host of the NRL footy show?
He is. He's not.
That's not even his sport.
But then, yeah. But then we have that too, the Sunday footy show.
Donald.
Donald.
Oh, he played for St Kilda though.
Yeah, well, yeah, but primarily.
Apart from Ricky.
Okay.
Hitting 99s.
And the only other text we got in is the last Caro article was when Trev O'Hoy stepped down from the North Melbourne board. It was mostly positive on the club.
It was. I'll give her credit.
I'd love to find some excerpts of that.
Maybe it should be like pinned up on a
we'll
wall somewhere.
do a Google search and come back after Sin. We'll go to some Sin messages now. We'll come back see if we can find this article and spot some Caro praise.
Just about on Caro. There's a website dedicated to Caro articles on North. We'll try to post it up on our Twitter page.
Alright, off to some messages.
Sergei Stepanov is a Moldovan musician and member of the Sunstroke project, which shot to fame in 2010 after appearing at the 55th annual Eurovision Song Contest. He's known for his eccentric dancing style and absolute ownage of the alto saxophone. But who's he better known as? Here's a hint. For more pop culture trivia, tune into Brain Juice, Saturdays from 3 to 4 to hear two contestants battling it out in an epic encounter of pop culture wisdom, only on Sin Radio.
Looking for a fun excursion?
Sin offers exciting radio tours for schools, community groups and more.
Learn about community radio and get hands-on producing your own podcast show in the Sin studios.
Are you a student? Tell your teacher about Sin. If you're a teacher, go to syn.org.au/education or email training@syn.org.au.
That's syn.org.au/education or email training@syn.org.au.
Warning! Brain Juice may cause spontaneous singing.
Positively can do all the things that make us
Laugh and cry. Corn tossed salads and scrambled eggs. What a wonderful kind of day.
You're on Sin.
Wow, that was well done. We should sample that and use that more often.
Yeah, I know. That's just going to be the promo for this show.
Brain Juice, Saturdays from 3 to 4.
Hey, you there with the face. You look like the type of person that loves film. Maybe you've never made one before, or maybe you're an accomplished director. Either way, Sin's new monthly competition, Shortcuts, wants you to prove to us just how special you really are. Make a short film of a chase scene and your little movie could end up on the telly. Oh yeah. Go to sin.org.au/shortcuts for details. Hey, why are you running away, friend?
Stay with us. We have more fun here for you.
On Sin.
Bound for Glory on Sin. 0427 767 767 is our number. Text us in.
Yeah, and it's free as well. Free things are nice.
Just in case you
the
thought
text
you'd
isn't
say.
free. You have to hop on the website to get it free.
No, you get a free text, fool. Educate yourself. Preview, St Kilda vs Melbourne.
I got charged.
Rip off. Saints vs Melbourne this afternoon at MCG. I really think it's sort of going to be a one-sided contest somehow.
Yeah, I think St Kilda have impressed over the last few weeks, and Melbourne have, well, they won last week.
Yeah, they're on a winning streak. can't say it without breaking.
The last time they played, though, Melbourne played well for 3 quarters. I think they were in front.
Yeah, they were up for a little bit, weren't they? Well done. It's a moral victory.
How many for Rewalt this week?
I don't know, because he's maybe Melbourne's fullbacks aren't really that bad. I mean,
Yeah.
the key defenders aren't bad. That's not the problem.
Frawley's actually
Cozzy
one of the best.
Yeah.
Because he's
in the
on
league, so-
Seller, so I think Cozzy's going to have a big week for once.
Well,
I think Sellers going to have a big week for once.
Yeah. Watch out, Seller. You poor. He's probably going to get a concussion, a broken leg for playing on Cozzy.
Thoughts on Brad Green retiring?
He's copped a lot of crap over his career, obviously, but he hasn't been terrible. I mean, he wasn't a great captain, but if you take that out, he hasn't been very bad over his career.
Has he left the door open for GWS? Because he said he's only retiring from Melbourne, not necessarily from the AFL.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if someone like Gold Coast picked him up, to be honest.
What, Brad Green?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that because they said I think they're kind of getting away from that sort of strategy because they've said they're only going to play Josh Fraser if all their key rucks are gone. Like he's played 2 games this year. I don't think they're going to pick up Brad Green just for the experience.
Yeah, well, his career is pretty much finished. You know, when you leave for an expansion club and don't get a game, you're in real strife. Yeah.
He could have played on next year. He kicked 5 goals last week.
Yeah, well, his body was ruined from when he had to play in the ruck as an 18-year-old.
You're talking about Brad Green.
Brad Green. No, Josh Fraser.
Well, he probably had to play in the ruck during that Richmond game, so...
So I think this is definitely an important game for St Kilda because they're 2 games out of the 8 and they really need to win everything they possibly can to secure a position. St Kilda apply really good defensive pressure against Melbourne because last time they met, Melbourne was scoreless in the last quarter. So St Kilda really brought Collingwood to the challenge last week, but it seems unlikely that Melbourne will have a chance. And probably the most concerning thing is that Cale Morton's out with an injury.
No one would have ever known.
No, he came back last week against Gary Ablett and had a shocker.
He played on Gary Ablett.
Did it
Yeah.
really?
Wow. That's tanking. They're tanking again. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I think this is an easy tip. I'm pretty sure I don't even need to ask. It's a matter of margin. I think everyone's going St Kilda. Adelaide Fremantle. It's a bigger game than, I guess, say if we had looked at this time last week, we may not have looked at this and thought, hey, it's going to be really competitive. There was a massive effort by Pav last week to get Freo over the line against West Coast.
On Thursday night, they named Tippett. He's known the...
You know, he's been
we must talk about Tippett because Adelaide are now in the race for Cloak. I don't think they'd be in the race at all if they knew that Tippett was staying.
Tippett, and if Tippett goes to Brisbane, then Tippett
Brown
and
and
Brown,
Tippett,
that is a forward combo to watch out. But then again, it depends, because Brown and...
Cloak goes to Melbourne. Dear God, if they can get the ball forward somehow.
Just bomb it long. Just kick it.
I feel that Cloak would be better off at Adelaide because they know how to get the ball to their key forwards.
That's it. If you look at every single week, they have one of the tall guys kicking 3-4 goals.
I think Cloak would be better off at GWS for Cameron to slip through to another club in a trade.
Would Cloak go to South Australia though?
No, he doesn't want to go into state, really.
Cloak's already filthy enough. I'm sticking with Adelaide here because they have the home ground advantage. They weren't impressive at all against Essendon last week, but every team has a down week, I guess. I guess it's more to say about Essendon.
Well, this tip was the one where I was sort of hovering over it for about 5 minutes, staring, and then in the end I'm kind of like, no, I'm actually going Freo, and I never tip Freo, so probably means they're going to lose now, so I'd get on Adelaide.
Fun fact, Adelaide actually have the least amount of free kicks for in the competition.
Yeah. Matt's, just to go back on Matt's list, who was good in 2005, Tamling's been dropped, so Adelaide will win.
Excellent.
Yeah, alright, I think, are we Adelaide all around the board? Yeah?
Yeah.
No, it was Freo.
Pete was Freo.
I'm Freo, which means Adelaide will win.
I think what you have to remember though, Freo did beat West Coast by 65 points last week, so they are capable of beating a top team.
You guys see that match? Because I've never been so impressed in Freo. Like a team under Ross
They
Lyon.
looked good, and it was wet conditions and everything. They looked good.
To be fair, Glass was out, who's along with Cox, the most important players. So Pav was always going to have a day out, but he was brilliant. And yeah, they're lucky he's playing this week, but yeah.
Right, Gold Coast GWS.
Oh, blockbuster.
Yeah, thrilling.
Whitfield
Who wants
Cup.
to lose more?
Yeah, the annual Whitfield Cup this week.
It's going to be bad. I mean, even when teams get chances, you'd think it's going to be a behind fest.
Oh, it'll be ugly. I think Ablett will be the only one who'll want to win because he just hates losing.
How many disposals?
Oh.
Who's going to get more disposals, Gary Ablett this week or Dane Swan in the VFL?
Well, it's pretty much the same. No, actually, GWS has played a lot better than VFL, who have played a lot better than Port.
Relatively good last week as well.
Did GWS win their first
they won a game.
2 games in a row, ever?
I don't think so.
I disagree. I'm all for them.
Yeah,
Here we go.
There a
Nice.
chance. I've tipped Gold Coast.
While we're on it, fact alert. Fact alert. The last time a team finished with fewer than 3 wins in an AFL season was 2001, when Fremantle recorded a record of 2-20. Gold Coast and GWS are currently on 1 and 2 wins, respectively.
What if it's a draw?
If it's a draw, well, damn.
Then we all get a tip.
Yay.
That's it. We tips around the board. High five for everybody.
But that's another one that could go either way, really, which is good, I guess. But, like, Gold Coast have a heap of players out, but then so did GWS. They've lost Patton and a couple of others. So
whose forward line is worse?
Depends. Is Ablett playing on a flank? Otherwise,
Gold Coast.
Probably Gold Coast. Because Cameron's in the forward line, so he beats their whole forward line.
Tommy Lynch is a good prospect, though.
I think that it's going to be a struggle for GWS, more of a psychological sort of thing, because they're going to have the high from last week from winning and a young team, consistency, that sort of thing. I just think it's going to be a challenge that sort of way.
It's like last year with Gold Coast's win hangover, like a premiership hangover, but after beating Port, they got belted by 100 points. So,
and they beat Richmond, didn't they? Afterwards?
Yeah, they did. But that's becoming a regular occurrence nowadays.
GWS won the first match they had together.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
I mean,
30
without Ablett, wasn't it? Ablett came back. That's right.
Only 33 touches. It wasn't enough.
Who are we tipping?
GWS for me.
GWS as well.
I'm going Gold Coast just because they've lost to them once. They want to do it again.
I'm going Gold Coast because Ablett will want to pick up more than 33 disposals. Because Ablett.
I'm going Gold Coast because they want to record their first win at their home ground.
Yeah,
and you don't want to be GWS's getting owned by them. So
Sydney Collingwood, easily the game of the round, even without Jude Bolton for Sydney and Dane Swan for Collingwood.
Well, I have no idea.
I honestly had no idea who to tip because Sydney, they're just tough to beat at home, but I just can't go past the Pies. They're just supreme all the time.
Except for the last 5 weeks.
Sydney were impressive last week as well without really getting out of second gear. They sort of showed that when they control the game, and they know how to win.
This is, to me, this is just a coin toss, and I don't really care. In all seriousness, either team could win, as with every game, I guess.
Well done. The team with the most points will win.
Yes, very good. But, yeah, I guess it'll depend when it goes to 11, because right now it's on 10-game winning streak, as we said, so...
If Sydney win, are they genuine premiership contenders?
You got to win at the
They're
MCG
on top. I think they already are.
They haven't. No, they've lost to Richmond at the MCG.
That's the only game they've played at the MCG, though. To be fair, every other, they won over at Subi, which doesn't happen that often, and they've won at Etihad. So,
I'm tipping Sydney just because the form at the moment. No Swan does hurt, but they missed Swan a few weeks ago now, and they didn't do too bad. So we don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Sydney as well. Kieran Jack is just going to be unstoppable this week.
I think Collingwood's going to make it 11 in a row.
Yeah, I tipped Collingwood, but I'm not confident at all. Anyone could win it, and
I'm going with Sydney because it's up in Sydney.
Carlton, Brisbane, Etihad Stadium tonight, 7:40. Another sort of coin toss one. You'd think that Carlton should win, but
it's in Melbourne, so I think you go for Carlton reasonably.
We'll get, but the Brown factor as well. Jamison's not playing, and Jonathan Brown has a chance to. He always seems to turn it on.
Walker and Robertson are back for Carlton. So
I think the last time Brown played at Etihad, he didn't kick a goal. He only had one behind that hit the post against Bulldogs. So
fine.
So
don't mention it. Don't mention it.
Merritt kicked a bag, didn't he?
Yeah. So that's the thing.
That was when they played Brown up the ground, wasn't it?
So Merritt's named at fullback on Levi Casbolt. That's sort of like a potato fest right there.
3 weeks ago, you were saying Casbolt was a gun.
I love Casbolt. I still love him. He's still a potato. Carlton, for me, I think. Home ground.
Yeah, Carlton for me, comfortably.
Yeah,
Carlton easily. Yeah.
Jesus, the next game. Hawthorn, Port Adelaide. Do we? No Alapate, Carlisle. Still no Franklin, but who cares?
Let's
Hawthorn by a
discuss
million.
whether it'll be under 100 or not. Otherwise, it's pretty
I-
irrelevant. I think they might get under 100 and be like 99. So
Moral victory.
Yeah, well,
New coach.
they
exciting.
always play a bit better when there's a new coach because suddenly, yeah, as we said earlier, they're playing for their contracts. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was only like a 10 to 12 goal win. So, but they're not going to come close, Port. You're kidding yourself. Why bother showing up?
Oh, they might, because
No, they
it's
won't.
Dominic Casisi's 200
That's
games.
nice.
Ooh,
It's Luke
well
Hodges'
done.
200 game too.
Congratulations. He's probably going to lose by 200 for your 200. Congratulations.
Just out of interest, is that the first time two captains have celebrated 200 games together? Opposing
Why
teams?
ask me?
I don't know. You guys are the fact lords over here.
Yeah, Hawthorn by 100.
Yeah, Hawthorn
100 million.
Richmond Bulldogs.
Again,
Oh.
an interesting one because Richmond were very impressive against Brisbane, but they haven't been great for the last month.
Let
Well,
them finish ninth.
They've
please.
lost a few close games. If they could, had the mental strength to actually win something under 10 points, then they would actually probably be in the top 8. Because there's been how many? 7 games or something?
I think
Like
it's
something.
9.
9 games where they've
Under
lost.
20 points.
Oh well, that's just ridiculous. Get your act together. What is wrong with you, Richmond?
For the Dogs, Lin Jong's making his debut. A midfielder who can jump ridiculously high. He pinched hit in the ruck for Oakley last year, so I got a feeling he's going to be the next Jeremy Howe.
I think this will be a bit closer than what everybody's thinking it'll be. I mean, if you look at the first quarter, especially last week for the Bulldogs against North, they matched it very well. And they were competitive, but they ended up getting belted in the second half.
But they don't have a forward. Like, the last 4 games, they've only kicked like 1 goal after half time. Like, they have no forward.
Do they still have Liam Jones and Jarrod Grant as their 2 key forwards?
I think they dropped Jones, or he might have got injured or something.
Grant's playing on the ball.
Well, there you go. Well, the Tory Dixon plays well, isn't he?
He's the only one.
reasonably good.
It's interesting to mention that Richmond have the highest handball count in the competition with 3,025 handballs.
I believe they're equal with North, was it?
Not equal with North. North have 3,014.
Oh, there we go, second. But yeah, Richmond for me.
Yep, tips Richmond. Yep.
Richmond,
Yeah, stick with Richmond. The final game of the round, the Twilight game on Sunday. This is North Melbourne's specialty, North Melbourne Essendon. This is North Melbourne's specialty. I honestly can't remember the last time North Melbourne lost a Sunday Twilight game. They belted Geelong, they belted Adelaide, they belted St Kilda. Fingers crossed they belt Essendon.
Well, they're both competing for a spot in the 8. Would you say that the winner would be pretty much guaranteed
if
a
North
top 8
win this,
spot?
they're in.
Yeah,
That's
so.
it. Essendon, I don't know. Even if they do win this, I'm still not that certain.
How good's Drew Petrie been recently?
He's been very good.
Killing.
And if he's not kicking goals, he's a great diversion as well for a young.
On
Bobby
North, we
Tarrant.
do have a quick text in. Only people that care about North are their 14 members. They should join forces with Port. No one cares about either. So, yeah.
Someone's on the piss.
Obviously.
Sinking piss. Nice Essendon Michael Hurley related stat. Essendon's only lost 4 of the 12 games Michael Hurley has played in this year. Of those 4, 3 were lost by a goal or less, and that was Melbourne. They lost to Melbourne by 6 points, which was crazy. They lost to Sydney by 4 points. They got belted by St Kilda by 71, and they just lost to Adelaide by 4 last week. And in those 4 losses, he only kicked 2 goals. So when Michael Hurley's up and about, Essendon are up and about. With that said, I don't think Michael Hurley will be up and about.
Yeah, I think Kangaroos should win this one.
I think it'll be a very high scoring with that.
Shootout.
Yeah. North by 30.
Gumbleton to kick a bag, I reckon. Huge. I'm going Dogs.
He's kicked a bag.
Got a feeling.
Huge. Get around him.
North should win.
Yeah.
Get around him because you'll need help standing up.
Maybe they should
They're
request
dribble
their finals on a Sunday Twilight.
Alright, plugs.
Plugs.
Alright, Bound for Glory FM, at Bound for Glory FM.
Yes, follow us on Twitter. Facebook, I think, is just Bound for Glory. Facebook.com/Bound for Glory Radio. Get around us. BoundForGloryNews.com. Check it out. We're checking up new articles per day. Some great opinions on there.
And Sarge Supercoach, of course. Yeah. Alright, I think that wraps it up for another week. Thanks for listening to us on Bound for Glory.
Don't get on the piss.
I'm invincible. I'm paying money. The girl's happy. She's got no money. I got my rocks off. Oh, how good is this?